Joining us now is one of the best TV reader and reader of Real Data, director of the University of Virginia's Center for Politics and editor-in-chief of the Crystal Ball, Larry Sabato. Larry, thank you for being with us. So do you have a feel of what's happening? One of the surprising things to some people is that Donald Trump is going to Virginia, your state. Wouldn't expect that to be a state, but maybe that there are those congressional districts, Virginia 2 and Virginia 7. Maybe he's trying to hold the House.
Possibly, except he wouldn't go to Salem, Virginia, which is right next to Roanoke, Virginia, in the west. There's some TV coverage there that reaches North Carolina, but if you want to reach North Carolina, probably you should go to North Carolina. I think he is scheduled to be in North Carolina 4 times here in the final days. I think that tells anybody, you don't have to be a political analyst, that the Trump camp must feel that North Carolina is not nailed down. Otherwise, why would you go there 4 times? So that's significant. And I have had other people tell me that is the reading, that North Carolina is more competitive than you would expect. I'm always suspicious because in 2016, a lot of people in North Carolina, political people, thought Hillary Clinton was going to win it. And of course, Trump did. And then in 2020, Biden was well ahead in the polling averages in North Carolina, and he lost to Trump again. So I don't know what's happening there, but I do know there must be something afoot. Otherwise, they wouldn't be sending Trump there 4 times. And the other state I would point out is Nevada, where clearly there's been some population change and maybe some other changes that seem to be affecting at least the people voting early. And Nevada is usually pretty close anyway. So that's what I always keep my eye on, because the candidate who wins doesn't win by a whole lot. So that one could be very interesting, too. I'm just trying to get away from Pennsylvania. I think we're all tired of discussing Pennsylvania, but it is the most important one.
Well, I never get tired of Pennsylvania because it's my adopted home state, but that's okay, Larry. I understand.
Thanks. Let me ask you, we've been talking a lot about the presidential race. I want to ask you about some Senate seats. I'm curious your take on what's happening in Texas. Obviously, Democrats look to Texas every cycle and say, maybe this is going to be the year. But we are hearing interesting things out of Texas for Colin Allred against Ted Cruz. And a journalist out there said, look to the fact that Texas does not have an abortion measure on the ballot. They might use the anger over abortion to take it out on Ted Cruz. What do you think might happen there? What's your read on the state?
Well, my sense was that no one else would ever get as close as Beto O'Rourke did. And that was 2.5 points 6 years ago, which was incredible for Texas. Like you, every 2 or 4 years, I get calls and emails and texts from people in Texas that I know and don't know saying, Texas is turning blue, Texas is turning blue. I've turned blue, waiting for Texas to turn blue, and they better do it soon because I'm not going to last that much longer. I'm in my 70s. But look, I think it's possible. Clearly, I was just down in Texas a little while ago, and I was really surprised at how many Republicans said to me they were voting for Trump, but they were seriously considering not voting for Ted Cruz and voting for Colin Allred because they were just tired of Cruz's antics. And of course, the famous example everybody cites is when he left to go to Cancun during that terrible ice storm that turned off all the electricity in large parts of Texas a couple of years ago. So, sure, it's possible. I wouldn't bet real money on it. I wouldn't bet even a piece of the farm, much less the farm.
So since you're talking about split ticket voters, let me ask you about a couple of other Senate races, which is Sherrod Brown in Ohio, right, and Jon Tester in Montana. The difference there, the similarity is they need those split ticket voters. The difference is those aren't states that people are looking at and saying, maybe this will be the year it at least gets closer to being blue. Those are red states. Talk about split ticket voters, what you're seeing, and any insights you might have to those races in particular.
Well, here's a depressing statistic if you're a Democrat. One Senate seat, out of the Senate elections held in 2018 and 2020, I believe, came from a state where the state had voted one way for president and voted the other way for Senate. And that, of course, was Senator Susan Collins in Maine. split ticket voting still exists. There are always a few percentage points of voters who will do that, but it's becoming a dying species. I'm not going to say it'll ever go extinct, but like the dodo bird, you'll have to look a long way to find even one. And we haven't found one in 100 years. So I don't know. I think it's unlikely that they can survive, but strange things happen. If one did survive, it would be Sherrod Brown, I think, rather than Jon Tester. That's a mark of our polarization and how partisan the country has become. We just start voting for one party at the top of the ticket and stay in that column, if it's a column ballot, all the way to the bottom. And it's called voting from the White House to the courthouse for the same party.